So it's kind of late on a Saturday night, and this is now the only times I have to make these videos. But it's something I really want to be doing. I do have some coffee here to help make sure I stay awake and alert, don't doze off while making this. I also know my hair is probably kind of crazy. I haven't been able to get a haircut. My family has been sick actually for about a week, and so that's why all this is happening now. But regardless, recently there's been something that's just been really weighing on my mind. And one of the things I like to do with these videos is just have it as a way to get these thoughts and ideas that are in my mind out of my mind and hopefully give me some rest and some peace there. Because my mind will just keep chewing on this until I can get it out in some way. But it's kind of the idea of regret, but I think there's more to it than that. There's two parts to this. The first part is that we don't live in a video game. And what I mean by that is, as far as we know, again, we can go into some of these like other weird ideas but we'll ignore all that. There's no respawning. And I know that you can ask anybody about this and everyone would say, yeah, of course there's no respawning in life. That's only in video games. But I don't think that most people, especially people probably under the age of 25, maybe even higher than that, have a really good understanding about what it actually means. I know I didn't, and this is why it's been something that's, ever since, again, about 25 when I first started realizing this, it's for the past 5 years, it's something that's just been really waiting on me. There's the whole video game idea where when you can try something and you can take certain risks, and yes, you might die and that's not a problem. You just go back to the start and you can do it again until you get it right. And in life, we don't get the chance to do it until we get it right. We get one shot at almost everything that we do, and we are most likely going to screw it up. The reality is failure is far, far more common than success. And especially when things matter. And a good example of this actually is in baseball. I'm not a particularly big baseball fan, but what I understand at least is you have the batting average, and a 300 batting average is considered someone who is good at hitting the ball. Now, a 300 batting average means that they miss the ball 70% of the time. And that's still someone that's considered good at being able to hit the ball. The same thing that applies in so many aspects of life. And sometimes you do get to try again. I mean, you have these ideas in movies like chick flicks where a guy might be very persistent and keep asking a girl out, and finally she agrees to it. But there's a lot of things that you get one shot at, you're probably going to mess it up, and who knows what's going to happen. And maybe it's even better that you do. Maybe it's better that you do mess it up, because we don't know what the other direction that tangent of life would have taken us. But it also means that there's such a massive risk and such a massive cost to being frivolous with your time. And I've been very frivolous with my time in college, especially. High school to a degree too, but definitely college. And I don't want to get too much into a lot of that. I can talk about the whole video on a lot of those things that were going on in college. But it's the cost of it doesn't really become apparent until later on. And when I see people, some people even I've worked with, who they are being much more productive with their time and making much better decisions than I did. And so many times, there's times where I really want to be able to go back in time and do things differently. And it's it's something that I really have a hard time letting go of. And I don't know why. I don't know, it's part of why I'm making this video, hoping that maybe you talking about it might be able to let me let go. But one of the things I have learned from this, as a way to avoid this, is it's important to make active decisions. So what I mean by an active decision is being purposeful with the time I do. So one of the things I was doing in college that was not very productive was I watched a lot of TV shows, and there's no benefit to it, and I would oftentimes even avoid doing homework because I get distracted and keep watching these shows, and I just spent way too much time doing it, and I'm just kind of sickened about how much time I wasted watching just these dumb TV shows. And some of these I even went back later, and it's like, I remember really enjoying this show. Let me try watching it again, and I just can't even get into it. I can't find any interest in it now. And what I've learned is what I need to do is be very purposeful with the ways that I spend time. When I am just letting time pass and just trying to wait for things to keep going, which unfortunately I still do, not as bad as when I was in college, but I still do this, but I end up becoming very unhappy. When I do something with purpose, and I say, not that it has to have this big massive purpose or anything, if I say, I want to do this thing and I'm going to take this action, I'm very specific about the action I'm taking, and I'm not just letting the life happen to me, that's where I'm able to look back at those decisions and say, I made a decision, I knew what I was doing, I was conscious about it. And now that I think about it, and this is really just kind of coming to me right now, maybe that's what conscientiousness is and why it's called conscientiousness. I know something that Jordan Peterson will talk about is the two biggest indications of success are intelligence and conscientiousness. And I am an intelligent person, I'm not a conscientious person, at least not inherently. And this is, I'm finally understanding where the root of that word is coming from. That if every action you're doing throughout the day is a conscious decision, and you're saying, I'm going to consciously choose to do this thing instead of just letting things happen, that would make sense why that would be a big contributor to being success. And even like being able to lose weight, you have the idea of people who, and I shouldn't say people because again I can tend to fall into this as well, that will just start feeling hungry and just unconscious, well, like not fully unconsciously, but kind of on autopilot, just start snacking and munching on things and not realizing how much they're actually eating throughout the day without consciously doing so. And if you're consciously thinking, yes, I'm going to go and eat this thing, even if you're making a conscious decision that, yes, I'm going to eat this thing, and I consciously know that this thing is unhealthy for me, I'm still going to do it because this is for whatever reason you give yourself and you accept that. You can still look back and say, well, yes, maybe it not been a good decision, but at least I was able to make that consciously and it can help avoid regret. So a bit of a tangent there, but still comes back to the same idea. But there's been a lot of other ways that, especially recently for the past year or so, that I've started making a lot more conscious decisions. Like I've consciously been looking for ways to improve my diet, improve what I eat. I've been consciously looking for ways to improve the way I look, my appearance, and consciously choosing to try and improve the way I dress and the clothes I wear and just different things. And so this is, again, kind of just thinking about this as I'm talking about it, but I do suppose that within the past year, my level of conscientiousness has definitely increased. And it's a very good feeling. I'm very happy with all that. And part of it probably does come from the idea that I don't want to look back at the I don't want to look back at decisions that I made with regret, because it's it's a terrible feeling. And it's a terrible feeling that that you did things, you just that you were very, you just let life passively happen to you, and that, or at least for me, I should say, you shouldn't use it second person. I should say this in first person. It's a terrible feeling when I look back and realize that I just passively let life happen to me, and I should have done things differently. I know I should have done things differently, and I can remember thinking at the time, this is what I should be doing right now, and I didn't do it. I just went for the easy route, the path of least resistance, and just let life happen. And that's a really hard thing for me to get over. But the other side of this, because I said there are two parts to this, is the idea that life is not a story. Or I could put this in a different way, that I'm not on a hero's journey. Or if I am, I'm not necessarily a hero. And if you don't know what the hero's journey is, there's I want to say it's Joseph Campbell. I know his last name's Campbell. I can't remember if his first name is right or not. He wrote a book, I'm pretty sure it's Joseph Campbell, that was titled again, I'm pretty sure it's correct, I didn't look at this beforehand, Hero of a Thousand Faces. If I have this wrong, I'll have it annotated here somewhere on the screen of what the actual name and the book is. But regardless, Hero of a Thousand Faces, and gives the outline of what's known as a hero's journey. And this is something that's very critical when creating stories. Disney uses this a lot when creating their stories, and creating this story structure of how the hero goes from his known world to the unknown world, and returns back and has different characters, archetypes. And we see these patterns all the time in movies and through different stories throughout time. That's the whole point of this, is that there's this standard for what a story is. And what happens is, at least for me, and I imagine other people start to think this as well, is we like to think, or at least, again, use the first person here, I like to think that I'm the hero and I am on a journey, and that my struggles and the things I deal with, they have meaning. And that when there's things that seem to line up and point towards there's an overall plan, that things are going to work out because of that. And this is not true. And again, going back to some bad decisions I made, some of the worst decisions I've made have been because, and I more recently started thinking this in terms of the hero's journey. The term I was using previously was my adherence to providence, or the idea of providence. That if I would see these things and say, oh, this has to work out because this is a perfect opportunity. Like, I might see a job opportunity, and I realize like everything about this job lines up with what my previous history was, and it's just a perfect match in so many ways. And it would, if I got that job, it would fit into some kind of story where, someone has all these random experiences, and you'll understand why they had them. These are really bad experiences, but ultimately they all come together, so that way the person's able to get this dream job that's able to, solve all their problems. And that kind of a story is what it was seeming like. And so just have this full belief that, oh, I will be able to get this job because I'm the hero of the story, and so therefore I should be getting this. And the reality is that we're not the heroes of our stories, and I didn't get the job. And this would happen so many times. There's so I can't even think of all of them, but there would be there doesn't seem to be any meaning to the chaos. And we can look at a movie, or watch a movie and read a book, and when there's chaos, there's purpose and meaning behind it, and we like to again, I like to go and hope, or used to at least, hope that there's some meaning and purpose behind the chaos. Back in 2016, I was trying to be self-employed, and I was starting to have a little bit of traction. I was starting to get some clients. Things were moving along. I didn't have a full-time job. This was the only thing I was doing. I was really struggling financially, but I was getting some progress, and it was a good feeling. And it was the first week in January. I can't remember exactly what day it was, but it was a Sunday. So whatever the first Sunday I guess was in January of 2016, that's the day it was. I was just taking my son downstairs for breakfast. My son was probably, well, I guess 6 months old at the time, or almost 6 months old. And so I was carrying him downstairs, and my foot slips on the steps. And I start going down, and I instantly go and start hugging my son close to my chest because I don't want to drop him. My foot ends up getting caught on the steps. My weight goes down and breaks my basically tears apart my ankle. That's what happens. I end up needing to go and get a plate put in, send a bunch of screws and a cable to hold the whole thing together. I still end up dropping my son because of the pain. He's ended up being fine, but I wanted to look back at that moment, and the next couple months after that were some really, really hard months. All the traction I had with my business evaporated in that time, and I was very sick. I spent like most of the time in bed just because of after I had surgery and everything. Like it was a bad time, and I remember laying in bed thinking that some way that this will make sense at a later time, and now here I am. It's actually 4 years later. No, 5 years later. Gosh, 5 years later. It's crazy. And there was no reason to it. And it wasn't something I took. It wasn't a risk I took either. It was just a random bit of chaos that happened in my life. And it's experiences like that that make me realize that we're not the heroes of the story. If there is a story, I shouldn't even say of the story because we're not on a hero's journey. That there is no reason in running into chaos. There is no providence. There's nothing that lines up. And yes, it's really cool when there's something happened recently. I might talk about it later time. We'll see how things turn out on it. But it's that feeling that there's so many things that line up about this, and if it works out the way I want it to, it's going to be absolutely life-changing, and it'll be one of those instances again where all these things that have happened in my life start to make sense. And I'm so even fearful to hope that it will work out, because again, I don't think that there's providence. This idea of hoping for providence or believing in providence and that I'm the hero and the hero's journey is just not true anymore. It just doesn't work out. And one of the things that I find that, and to kind of take this on another tangent, again, I would best be described as a Christian. I mean, I was raised as a Christian. I don't have I should say my theology. I can probably create a whole video of my theology. It's just probably a little bit different, and I'll give an example of this. When I talk to people about the bad things that happen in their life, or bad things in life, and people say, well, this is all part of God's plan, and God will work things out, and Jesus is watching us and protecting us and taking care of us, and these sort of things. And I don't want to be discouraging, but if you read the Bible and you look through the Old Testament, there's many instances where thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are wiped out in a single day. And not the enemies of God's chosen people. These are people of God's chosen people. These are the Israelites that will have 10,000 people or more wiped out in a single day because the hero of the story or the person that's back, someone else didn't do something right. And we can even look back at even the heroes of the story. Like if we look in the New Testament, I mean, most of these people, they suffered, and it's people who read the Bible. I will constantly hear them say, "Oh, this is the character I feel like I'm almost like Jacob or Joseph or Moses or whoever you, because this is the thing I'm going with." But odds are, if you were alive at the time, you wouldn't even be in the list of names of the genealogies. You would just be a nameless person that may not even be mentioned anyway, but at best maybe you're mentioned as one of the people who died in a battle. And I don't say that to paint out like I don't understand this. This is just something that is I have to accept that. Again, I'm not the hero. I'm not the person that's going to win things out. If I take all of my competencies, combine them together, I'm probably average, maybe slightly below average. Again, because of a lot of my vision problems and stuff. I'm not a fast runner. I'm not strong. There's a lot of things that I'm just not, that I'm definitely below average on. And I don't say this stuff to say, oh, boohoo, RJ should feel bad for RJ because he's this person who is filled with regret, and he's this person that is not the hero. What I'm just saying is that we have control of our own lives. The providence isn't there because to guide us and to lead us anywhere. Sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we don't. And I should say, sometimes we get lucky, a lot of times we don't. Sometimes we succeed, a lot of times we don't. But taking those chances to try and see if we are lucky and stop trying to see if we succeed, those are all our choices. That's all my choices. Again, trying to use the first person here. And the idea that things are going to work themselves out, or that things are going to happen in one way or another, instead of it being a case where I just have to trust this unknown plan, I actually find this a bit empowering. I don't have to worry about things working out. I'm the one that can go and figure this stuff out. And the truth is that once I was able to accept that there is no providence, there is no reason to the chaos, things have gotten so much better in my life. Because I am able to take control. I'm able to look at situations and know that I'm the one that has control and can take ownership of what the outcome is. I don't have to rely on something to happen later or hope that things work out. It's based off of the choices and decisions that I make. And then, if I add that to, again, my points about conscientiousness and the fact that there's no respawning, and I'm able to understand this and then actually follow through and make those decisions and take an active role in my life instead of a passive role in my life, this has made my life so much better. So much better than it was before. And I don't know how to yet type these videos. So I don't like to just give advice to anybody, but I guess maybe I might end up doing that anyway. So I don't know where everybody's at, and I have no idea how you're taking this video. It's probably a really long video already, even if I edit it down. And I just hope that more people out there will be able to understand this, that see the ways in your life that you're hoping in providence, or that you are at some level thinking that maybe you get to try stuff again and get another shot at stuff. The reality is, and I'll say this so many times, I tell this to a lot of people, again, because I just think that people don't grasp it on the first time. Success is extremely rare, failure is very common. However, success is a lot more significant than failure because of that. So it kind of balances itself out in a lot of ways. And both of them have momentum. So if you have success, it's going to lead to more success. And if you have failure, it's going to lead to more failure. And so just take the risk, and once you have success, keep pounding and getting more success. And this is something that we can probably... So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Again, my name is RJ, this is Story of My Life, and if you did enjoy the video, please rate it. If you didn't like this video, then yeah, give me a thumbs down. At least let me know what people are thinking here, and whether or not I'm just full of myself. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section. And if you want to see more of my videos and more about just the random rantings of a 30-year-old American male, then go ahead and subscribe. It'd really mean a lot to me if you did that. But thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.